Hey everyone, it's Christine. Welcome back to this video on channeled messages surrounding the opening expansion of psychic abilities. I wanted to briefly share a little bit of the messages I've been receiving and simply seeing with other folks. And something that's been coming through repeatedly is the expansion of the way we are going to receive information psychically. So many psychic gifts have been opening up for people in extrasensory ways, right? Not just in these earthly manifestations. And some of the primary ones I got were telepathy and remote viewing. I feel like many folks are opening up to these new ways as Jupiter gets ready to ingress into Gemini in May of 2024. And I feel like this is only going to increase, which is why I wanted to get this out when Uranus eventually ingresses into Gemini next year in 2025. Comment down below if this is something you've been experiencing. Have you been starting to either receive new access, almost like a security code, or you're granted access in a way where that's opening up for you? Maybe it's strengthened as well, where now you're able to remotely view things that you didn't or weren't able to before. Same thing with telepathy, where you're able to connect, especially with close loved ones, but it doesn't have to be close loved ones or people in your intimate circle. It could be with people that are strangers, where you are able to understand and know what they are saying. And sometimes you are able to answer them, even though they didn't ask you or say anything verbally. I also feel like many folks are awakening to clairaudience at this time, clear hearing. And I've had this reported with some folks that I work with, and generally people in this community. So these are some of the things that are going to be expanding. And during this time, some folks are going to be opening up to these new ways of sensing, of being and interacting with those in this realm and in others. And I'd be curious to know how many of you have started experiencing this, what has been your experience, and or if this is something that's simply strengthening, because some people have already been working with their remote viewing abilities, and same thing with telepathy. And I feel like all humans have the ability to access, to nurture, and to cultivate their own psychic abilities. It's not something that is only for certain people. Again, some people just choose not to, and that's okay. But I feel like this is going to expand, obviously, our ways of understanding at completely different depths. Because now, for folks that generally communicate, you may hinder your understanding or level of comprehension based on what someone is telling you by words, whether it's writing, and that can be through the dissemination of emails, text messages, books, stories, articles, wherever you see the written language. Likewise, it could be verbal communication, like I'm doing right now in video, or what other people tell you, or in other languages too, whether it's a foreign language or sign language, using your hands. But with remote viewing and telepathy, it's different. Usually with remote viewing, you can gain understanding where you are accessing it. And sometimes it may open up for you where you're able to see something. Same thing with telepathy, where all of a sudden when you are communicating with someone, you may just instantly understand. You may ask a question in your head without verbalizing it or in any other aforementioned ways and start receiving guidance, confirmations, answers, etc. So this was something that kept coming through for me. And I'm like, well, what do I need to tell people? I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I feel like there's a shift happening in our level of consciousness. And this goes back with the full moon in Scorpio video, and I'll link it somewhere here, where I talked about the upgrade in consciousness when it comes to our level and form of communication. And I feel like it's going to continue to evolve and shift. And this is just the beginning process where we are learning new ways to connect with people without having to use the traditional modes of speaking, of interacting, of communicating. And I know this has been done for hundreds, thousands of years, but not on a large scale, because folks that have integrated and used these mediums for many reasons have been persecuted or killed in the past. So these gifts are also allowing us to understand people on a level that we may not have before. But it doesn't always mean that we stay at that level. And that's something that I want to be clear on, because sometimes when we connect to other energies, we feel like we are going to be responsible, or that we have to be responsible for whatever is coming through. No. Sometimes when we are receiving messages about other people, or we're getting insights, particularly with remote viewing, it doesn't mean we have to do something about it. It doesn't mean we have to go and contact them, or it doesn't mean we have to help them or fix them or heal them or any of that. And that's something that I wanted to say, and that was coming through, which is why I'm here relating this message, excuse me. So I'm going to wrap this up and keep this short, and I'm sure there's going to be more snippets. I think this is just like the introductory message, channeled message that I kept receiving and experiencing, because I kept seeing some of the way that I receive these messages are like little snippets of videos, almost like screenshots, you could say. And I kept seeing the remote viewing as if someone was changing the channel on the TV. And you may be getting glimpses too. Premonitions are other things coming through strongly for many people, where you are seeing your own slides. Think of your own screenshots coming through, where you're like, wow, this feels like deja vu. Like I just remembered this earlier in the day. You may have had an insight or saw something. And again, you may receive this initially and understand this in a different form. Like you just sense it and know it. And then it actually, what is the process called? It unfolds differently. So simply to be aware of in the coming, I'll say time, because there's no time frame associated with this. It's not days, weeks, months, years, decades. It's going to be gradually strengthening. So share with me if you are interested and you feel comfortable. If you've been experiencing this and what it's been like, I would love to hear your stories and insights. I know for me, I've been getting strong, a lot of premonitions, and telepathy has strengthened big time, where when I immediately have a question in my head, it's answered fast by someone else. Like they just say it. Same thing with, I'll say with my dad and I. Many times I have found where I'm thinking of him and I call him and we do it to each other at the same time. And it's strengthening, I feel, especially with people that you connect with, but also with others in your environment. So you all, thank you so much for being here. If this has helped, I would truly appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up button, share your views, your comments. I love engaging with you all and always welcome discussion. Thank you guys. I'll be back. I'll see you soon. Take care.